What's going on, people? Welcome back to the Opposition Preview. International break is over, and I'm joined by Dave from OhWhenTheTown podcast to get all the insights ahead of the game against Luton. As always, make sure to check out their podcast. The link will be in the description down below, and make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts ahead of the game in the comment section down below. Dave, it's your debut here on the channel, so thank you for coming on. I just want to start off with how you're feeling going into this game, the start of the season. And I'll be honest, there's been a lot of people that doubted Luton from the get-go. Even before we even saw Luton play, there's been a lot of messages about, Kenilworth Road, they're just going to go down, there's this, there's that. But you got Rob Edwards as a manager, who I do rate. You still got a squad that's going to grow in the Premier League, and I think you have shown signs from the first to this game of improvements. But as a Luton fan, what have you made of life in the Premier League?
Well, firstly, thank you for inviting me on. Life in the Premier League is a little bit different to normal, isn't it? The whole experience for me as a fan has been intense. I've loved every minute of it. I'm not sure I've loved the vitriol that our club has had. You've mentioned already about the stadium and being written off because we're a small team. We haven't spent a lot of money. I've said many a time, this experience has literally ring-fenced our club forever. From the depths of where we were in the non-league to where we are now. We know that even if we get relegated, it's not going to be a problem because we've got that money. Premier League football, Premier League fans, it's all a bit different, isn't it? It's all a bit different.
From you like it?
Yeah, I've been having a great time. I'm going to those grounds I haven't visited for years. I've enjoyed that part of it. I'm not enjoying not winning many, but that's to be expected. There's been a lot of controversy in some of the games. VAR, which obviously we've never really had that full-on experience with. Only a couple of cup games back in the past has changed, how I look at the game occasionally. But overall, I think we started okay. I think we're going to prove a few people wrong. I think we could have done better when we played. We deserve something from the West Ham game. We shouldn't have given Burnley the points, but that's a little bit. We haven't won at home. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say. Tottenham, we're playing Tottenham with 10 men. Really, I know they were on fire at the time we played them, but we had our opportunities to get back in the game. So we're creating stuff. It's just not full on yet. And at some point that win's got to come. And if I keep my fingers crossed, and I'm sorry to say this to you, I hope it's this weekend. I hope it's
Luton Palace. We love it. We love to give teams that are struggling, if they're looking for wins, or if there's a striker who hasn't scored a goal, come and face Palace. We're here. We're Charity FC. Literally, we love to give it away. But I was going to ask you about this. So far at home, you say that you have been struggling. But for me, as a neutral looking in, of course, you know better than me, Dave. I have seen improvements, and I feel like you are slowly adapting, which is normal. I don't expect Luton or Sheffield United or Burnley to straight away adapt. I think Burnley, look, not many people talk about them, but I think they've struggled way worse, and there should be more questions asked about Burnley than to Luton, because everyone said Burnley, great football, look what they've done in the Championship, and they've been struggling massively. But with Luton, I've seen progression, and based on that progression, do you think, Dave, that you can stay up this season? Like, where's your head at with it? Because a lot of people, of course, wrote you off. But as a fan, from what you've seen so far, you're out of the relegation zone right now, so you're 17th. What do you think about your chances?
I think it's a fairly difficult one to answer. I think if we don't start getting that form at home, then there's no hope for us. That's how I'd look at it. The home form is key. Our only win this year has been away. But you're right. From the first game when we played Brighton, which I didn't think we were that far out of, we've improved every time I've watched to get the team. There's only one team that has really taken us apart, and that was, for me, Aston Villa. And I think we've even learned from that. So I feel that the team is improving. The team has got the confidence to push on. But I think we need that boost first. We need that 3 points from our home leg. If we can get the home form going, in the next few weeks, we've got all the top teams. If we don't, and again, when as a fan we look at the next upcoming fixtures, Crystal Palace and Brentford are the two that fans go, oh, we can win those, and that's not being disrespectful. It's because the other games we're playing is Manchester City and Arsenal. So I think if we can hit those, the teams around us and slightly above us, then yeah, there is a good chance that we might stay. And in fact, at the beginning of the season, I said we would stay up. I suppose that was my heart going. But you know, you're right. Burnley have not been firing in all cylinders. Vincent Kompany doesn't even get a slap on the wrist from fans. They all think he's lovely, from what I can see. And the ball, if that was any other club, I think he would have been sacked by now. You've got Sheffield United. They struggled at the beginning. They seem to have been unlucky at times.
Yeah.
So I think when we play these teams, when we play Burnley again, when we play Sheffield United, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, yourselves, we're looking for points from those games. And if we nick any from anywhere else, that's good. I mean, the players are confident. As a fan, I'm not so confident until I see a couple of good results coming in. But you know, they will come. You can't go the whole season, I'm sure, without a couple of home wins. And I think one will lead to another.
Yeah, and also you haven't played that bad at home as well. You've had games where maybe you could have picked up a few more points. I thought at home against Tottenham, you've done the best you can. You was unlucky. Maybe if you finish your chances, then that could have been a different story. Like there's been positives even in those losses at home. But for those of you who haven't watched Luton so far, what can we expect? What style of football can we expect from a Luton side that Palace fans we haven't faced in a while?
Well, you know what? I remember a long time ago when we got promoted back up to the Championship. Our first game was against Crystal Palace, and no one gave us hope that day because we'd come straight through the divisions, and we won. Okay, and we won by playing the football we played to get to the division, and we won by just being full on the whole time. I think each game this season, Rob Edwards and his team adjust the tactics accordingly. So, you can't go full on against teams like Liverpool, like Tottenham and the big boys. You just can't. But what I expect us to do this weekend is to start quick and really pressure. It's a must-win game for Luton Town. It really is. At this stage of the season, we need to get this. So I think it's going to be quite intense. And I would think people would say long ball. I would say great passing. But it will be intense. I think there'll be a very high press. I think I'll be disappointed if the players don't really take the game to Crystal Palace. And I would hope at the very beginning we're quick and fast. But Luton can adapt to anything. But if it's a long ball that scores a goal, I don't care. And if it's a pass of 10 moves, then great. I've said this before, and I think I've said this before on other podcasts. If we ping a ball 30 yards and it lands at a player's feet, that's a long ball. But if Manchester City do it, that's a brilliant pass. So that's how I look at it. So I think it will be intense. I think that the game will be quick, and I think we want to get out there and score quickly. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start. There's a bit of an onslaught. In the nice way, but Crystal Palace, if they can hold.
What's interesting? It's the fact that we've got Eze and Elise back as well now. And Elise, he came off the bench in our last game against Everton. That game was awful. The defending was really bad. But we scored 2 goals and we still lost against Everton at home. And then afterwards they got a points deduction. And then Eze's now back as well. And that's why I think it should be an exciting game. I'm actually expecting, both sides to go for it because now we've actually got attackers as well, funny enough. And they've got this little rest period during the international break to, recoup and just make sure they're focused on the next game. And I think with Elise potentially starting, Eze starting, I think things get a bit more tricky. But as a Luton fan, what have you made of Palace so far this season?
Well, you see, I've always liked Crystal Palace, if I'm honest. And I've always, back again, I'm quite old, as you might guess. And I remember Palace.
You're still young, Dave, trust me.
But Palace were the team to watch many years ago when they were trying to get promoted. And I look at them and I think, they've been a stable Premier League team, if that's a nice way to say it. I feel that they are better than the bottom three at the moment. I would say that for definite. I can't remember where you are in the division. Is 16th, 15th, 7th?
You know what? I need to
They
check the table.
got there, didn't
After
they?
the Everton game, when you lose against Everton at home after scoring 2 goals, you just forget about everything. You just forget
Yeah.
about all the table because you're like, what's going on? What's going on? But we are currently 13th.
13th. Okay, so 13th is a decent position. I've always liked their style of football as well. I think I look at Crystal Palace in a way and think, could we be sort of like you guys and staying up
I was
there?
thinking that as well.
Yeah. The style is the same-ish. I think that, you've been there longer than we have, and you've had more time to invest that money in your players, whereas we've invested next to nothing in comparison with players. But there is a similarity there for me, and so I kind of admire the way they play and how that Crystal Palace have sort of put themselves where they are in the division. I kind of respect that. So I have nothing against Crystal Palace. I'd look at their results, and sometimes I feel maybe they're not as good as I thought that you are.
Yeah.
But overall, a decent team.
Yeah.
But it's one of those. But you guys are one of those teams that my team and Burnley and Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth are all going to go, oh, we can beat Crystal Palace. And I think that's a bit naive. I think that's a bit naive because that's exactly what everyone's saying about Luton Town. I think most Crystal Palace fans would say we can win at Luton. It should be okay. It should be fairly easy. And we're saying this is a challenge. We have an opportunity to take points here against Crystal Palace. That's what I'm thinking. So I don't dislike Crystal Palace at all. I don't dislike any. Well, there are a couple of teams I dislike, but
Watford?
Crystal Palace are not one of them.
What about Watford?
Well, we don't mention them, do we? We can mention them.
Don't worry. We're on the same boat. We don't like them either. So we got
another reason to like Crystal Palace.
I mean, Watford over the years, geez. I know you don't want to mention them, but Palace fans, I think everyone can agree that we don't like Watford. We were honestly, I'm not even saying this right now because you're here, Dave, but I really wanted Luton to get promoted because I do see the similarities in a way in terms of when we first got promoted, everyone wrote us off. Everyone wrote us off in our first season, and it was a very difficult season, but we managed to stay up, and then the rest is history. We build on that, and I just get this feeling as a Palace fan. I'm looking at Luton, I'm looking at everything that's going on, I'm looking at fans, I'm looking at the players that you got, the manager that you got, and I just have this feeling that you can do it. You can do it. I'm not going to act like I think you will stay up. I don't know, because right now, genuinely, it changes week on, week out. Bournemouth, 1 week, they're great. The next week, they go, lose against another team. So it changes. And with Luton, I'm expecting a push. And I really want you to stay up. I genuinely do. And I hope you do. But it's very hard. But the good thing that I know with Luton is, even if you do go down, it's not the worst thing in the world. Because I feel like this promotion is going to help you in different areas of the game. It's going to help you financially, of course. Now you've known what life is like in the Premier League as well, so you can build on that next season if you was to go down and come back up. So I think it's a win-win scenario for Luton. I think you just have to enjoy every game as it comes. Of course, as a fan, you want to stay up, but I do think you 100% have a chance of staying up. I don't think you're 100% down. Right now, if I was going to pick one team out of the 3 teams I got promoted, I'll pick Burnley. They look like they're done and dusted. Even Sheffield United, I'm seeing improvements here and there, as well as Luton. So yeah, I think you got some solid plays as well. And I quickly want to talk about your plays for Palace fans that haven't watched Luton. Who do we need to try and stop? Who's the most informed players that you have in your team?
Well, there are several. Nakamba, from who we took on from Aston Villa, has been an amazing signing for us. But he's just a step above. Ogbeni, if he's fit after the international break, I can't believe we got him. I think we got him on the free from Rotherham, or we paid a very small amount of money for him. He is a future star for a bigger team, because if we don't stay up, someone's coming in for him. He's so quick. He moves the ball well. He's got such good vision. Look out for him. He's a decent player. And then, before the international break, which always worries me, that you go to this break and you have this time off. Ross Barkley was coming into his own, and he was literally a linchpin at Man United. And Yeah, they for me are the three that I could pick out immediately. But then you can look at our goalkeeper's been in brilliant form. Kaminsky's been in brilliant form. So yeah, it's really difficult to say any. But if you have to pick one player, then look out for OhBenny.
Mm.
He is really quick, and he will go if we don't stay up. Someone will come in for him, and he will be. I mean, he plays international football. He's just quick. He's really quick and really got a good vision of the game. But we haven't got any superstars in our team. We don't have those. We don't have the one player. Your prime player. We have a bunch of teammates, of which some have stood out recently. But in a few weeks' time, the others may. Jordan Clark's back fit, so maybe he'll get a start. Maybe he'll get some time on. We just need I think we need our strikers to get hit form. So for me, OhBenny, Nakamba, and Morris, really. Not Morris, Barkley. For me, are the three to look out for and see how they get on. But the number one player for us at the moment, I think any Luton fan would say, would be OhBenny.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
What position? So for those who haven't, what position does he play? Because for us, our weakness, I think, for Palace is our right back position. Whoever goes down that side, if they have pace, they could easily cause problems against Joe Wood. We even saw it against Burnley. I mean, Burnley, Joe Wood had to get subbed off because he simply didn't have the legs to catch up, and pace was an issue. So, what position does he play?
Yeah, well, he Blake's he's just like the wing back from that side. So he's going to get roasted if you say he's like not that good, then that's where he's going to be going down the side and crossing the ball in. The other two obviously midfielders. So yeah,
I think that's going to be scary.
He'll be on. Well, I hope so. For me personally, obviously, I hope
not for me. I've seen it numerous times. I'm done with it. I don't want to see any more.
He's going to be. He can switch sides, but predominantly it comes down the opposition's right side. So I think if you're watching the game, you'll see that tactic. And if the club have done their research well, they'll know the fact that you just said, and they will use it accordingly, I'd imagine. So it's quite exciting, isn't it? It's quite exciting.
For you, yeah. not for Palace fans. I'm watching this right now. I'm pretty sure all the Luton fans are, yes, that's it. That's what we want to hear. But for Palace fans, we've seen it numerous of times. And it's annoying because, I mean, I don't know who... I love Joe Wood to bits. He's been at Crystal Palace since, way before we got promoted. But he's been our right back. And then Wan-Bissaka came in. So he got dropped to the bench. And he's been our right back pretty much for the majority of the time we've been in the Premier League. But then again, as much as I love him, his legs are slowly going, and he's a liability down that side at times. But saying that, he's had some good games as well. So it depends on what Joe Wood we see. But Dave, so how do you actually see this game going? Let's talk about score predictions. You have said that you've struggled at home, but you're also hopeful of, potentially getting a win against Palace.
Well, to be fair, we're due a win. How do I see the result? Look, I've got heart and head syndrome again. My heart thinks that actually, if we start well, we might score 2 goals. We haven't scored more than 2 goals all season. So I'm going to say these questions always do me, because if you go back and you'll look at scores in the past, I probably got them 100% wrong. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, and I'm going to put myself out there. I'm hopeful that we can get a 3-1 win. That's what I'm hopeful. Realistically, I think it depends on whether Crystal Palace score, and if they score first, it might be a different situation. So my head and my heart are almost in line. So we'll look this up after the weekend, and we'll see how. But I think I'm going for a Luton win, obviously, and I'm going to say 3-1, and that's optimistic. Realistically, if we get 1-0, I'll be happy.
Funny enough, our defense was our strongest point up until the last 2 to 3 games. Even saying that in them games we did keep a clean sheet against Burnley, but it just doesn't seem the same in terms of the chances that we're giving away. But now that we've had this international break, hopefully we've had some time to focus and have a bit of rest and actually look into what is going wrong with our defense, because our defense have been very good at the start of the season with all our key players missing in attack. I thought that was our strongest point, and all of a sudden we've been struggling for a few games. But if our defense goes back to where it was at the start of the season and how good it can be, I think it'll be a tight game. I don't see that many goals in all honesty. I can see, I don't know why 1-1 is just coming out. I want to say 1-1, but also part of me wants to say 1-0 Palace. But I'm going to stick with 1-0.
Well,
but I'll be honest,
very fair. That's very fair, you mate. But I'm hoping it's the opposite that I said. You know,
I was always said, but honestly, 1-0. I can see it being 1-0. Of course, until we see it, it's going to be hard to say. But Eze and Elise playing together, that's when you see the best out of them. And we haven't seen them, start a game yet so far this season. So if they're starting this game, I think that should be a very important factor in terms of if it was to get anything out of this game. But as a Palace fan, I really need to see us get a win as well. Just as much as you want to see Luton get a win, I'm looking at the same. It's a side. Forget about the Luton aspect. There's a side that's struggling at home. That of course that wants to get that spell out of the way, but you don't want it to be against your team. So hopefully we go there and have a professional performance. But this is Palace, Charity FC. We don't know what's going to happen. Literally, we don't know what will happen. But let us know your score predictions in the comment section down below. And Dave, for those who want to go listen to Luton reviews, previews, where can they find your great work?
Yeah, we are on YouTube at OhWhenTheTown, Spotify, iTunes, and all the other places you get your content from. We're all over that. Twitter or X now, isn't it? All the places you normally go to see that. But the main line, if you want to see how we react to the game, we put it out on Tuesday morning, record Monday night, and it'll be on YouTube and Spotify, iTunes.
Yeah, the link for that will be in the description down below. So make sure to check out OhWhenTheTown podcast, YouTube platform, social media, to be fair, because you're on everywhere. So that's how it is. But thanks to every single one of you who's watched this. Thank you to Dave as well for joining me. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, up the Palace.